Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of the Big Apple Battle, a New York baseball podcast. And Ed, we must be pretty damn good at our job because we were pretty close on these early season predictions, which we will get to later in the episode. Nonetheless, New York baseball is alive and well as both teams are 6-3 out of the gate in this early season. It's obvious to me that they are both still not fully clicking on all sides of the ball. And just that statement right there should scare everyone in this league, even those soft Dodgers out west. So, Ed, how are we feeling?
Well, you can call us Edstradamus, Alex Stradamus, however you want to make it happen. But 6-3, our predictions leading into or after the first three series. I gave my Yankees a little more conservative 5-4. You went 6-3.
Yep,
I
yep.
kind of knew in my heart of hearts we'd go 6-3. Just being honest, we can replay the tape if we need to. However, yeah, I think, man, what else could you ask for? 6-3 is exactly how you'd want to start after 9 games. Put you on pretty great pace to make the playoffs and win the whole damn thing. And I think if anybody were to chalk it up, you wouldn't expect the Yankees to win three in a row from the Brewers. You wouldn't expect them to lose two to the Diamondbacks, and you might not expect them to lose one to the Pirates. So you never know how it's going to break down, but ultimately we got the results that we desired. And as you said, Alec, there are plenty of things to write home about, plenty of things to never mention again, maybe on either side, but plenty of room for improvement after just 9 games of the season. And God, man. I just can't believe you guys pulled out that win today, and we did not, because I was
Hmm.
really, really looking forward to gloating and holding over you. The 7-2 record to a 5-4 looks a whole lot prettier on my end.
Yeah, and you know what? The 6-3 record was not something I anticipated too out of the shoot after a soft start in Houston. Go to Miami, we split 1-1. We win the rubber game. You don't know what you're going to get at home against the Blue Jays, and of course, we come with the sweep, even when the bats are so quiet and silent, which we will get into. But again, this team is pitching like they're the best rotation in baseball. Like it's kind of crazy,
That
and we'll get
Griffin
into all
Canning.
that. Griffin Canning, he literally told me to shove it because I talked so much trash about this guy in the offseason, and now I owe him my life. So we'll cross that bridge.
He shoved and said, can it? If we're gonna be realistic, all right?
Boom.
Wah, wah,
I
wah.
failed miserably on that. Yep.
All right, we'll just keep it going.
All right. So, Ed, we're through 3 series. We're through 9 games on both sides. New York baseball, it's alive and well. The Mets just swept the North. The Yankees stayed the course, and the Bats stay hot. As we know, it was a tough loss today, being Sunday, April 6th, against the Pirates in Pittsburgh and Steel Town. But hey,
Jesus, do you really need to tell everybody every detail about the loss?
yes,
Like,
I
come
did.
on.
Just had to throw in there. But again, to that point, 6-3 out of the gate. We're on pace for 100 plus wins. We're on pace to see each other in the World Series. Only if the Dodgers all get injured and the team disappears off the face of the earth. But
It's
regardless,
already starting. Blake Snell to the IL today, baby. It's
yep,
already begun, and how beautiful it is. Sorry, Blake. I know you're a good guy. You don't deserve it. No one wants to see anybody hurt, but this is why you don't create a super team and crown them champions on paper before the season. It's impossible
exactly.
and often just lets you down. But
And it's a long
I
season.
digress. Exactly.
It's a
And it
long
will be for
season.
the Mets too. Continue. Tell me more about you guys.
Okay. So you know what, Ed? This is what we're gonna do. I am going to kick it off. I think here with segment one. The Mets are suddenly hot. Winners of 4 straight. Handle the Jays no problem at home. It's cold outside. The bats are cold. The bats are breaking. The hands are stinging, but the pitchers are humming. And you know what? I'm going to jump right into it, Ed, because the one thing I did want to say, actually, before we get into the chaos that kind of ensued at Citi Field this past weekend with not only the Mets sweeping the Jays, but there was a lot of crazy stuff that I was talking to you about before we jumped on live here was uh, the craziness just at Citi Field with the fans and kind of the carnival vibe that is now Mets culture, Mets fandom. So there's a lot I want to touch on there, but I did first want to touch and look
At the
back
City
here.
Circus?
The City Circus, yeah, there's some good, bad, and ugly, and I'll touch on all of it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I am proud at the turnout. It was a cold weekend. Obviously, the home opener was a sellout. The game I was at yesterday, Saturday night, April 5th, was I think 37,000 on a cold Saturday night. So that's pretty impressive early in the season, and that's the Juan Soto effect right there, the Steve Cohen effect. But I did
Not
want
even
to
the
touch.
Soto pin could get everybody to fill those seats. Man, what are you guys gonna do?
Don't worry, the Soto pin is mint. It is so nice. I'm
Are you
wearing it
gonna?
as we speak.
Oh, you're not keeping it in the case. I was wondering, is
No,
that
no,
one of
it
those
is.
collectibles you just never uncase?
It is. It is. I have my wife and mine here in the office, and they're both in the case. They're not going anywhere.
You're gonna turn them into earrings and just rock them all.
That would actually be pretty sick.
That would be kind of sick, actually.
A Juan Soto belly button ring. That's
Ooh,
crazy.
pull that out when
Getting
you're on the mountain.
frisky.
Strike a guy out. Pull up the little half shirt. Show it off.
They're gonna feel really bad about themselves. They strike out to a guy wearing a Juan Soto belly button ring in a men's league mound.
No, well, they might call it the Soto shimmy at that point, not the Soto shuffle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's yeah, I do. That's a fair point. Too many hot dogs at the game. There's definitely a Soto shimmy going on.
Hey yo.
But Ed, I did want to first touch on and look back here just last week in general. I know it's the first time recording in some time. The fans are eager to highlight the Marlins series just briefly because no one
The
really
Mariners.
cares
Yes. The
about
Mets
the
East. Mets
Marlins.
West, I should say.
But yeah, again, since we last recorded, the Mets have went 5-1, taking 2 out of 3 in Miami after losing their opening series in Houston. It was nice to see the offense bounce back after that sluggish start. We put up 10 runs on 11 hits with 4 home runs in game 1 in Miami. And this, of course, included a clutch Pete Alonso grand slam that basically put that game out of reach. Game 2, it was a loss where we came out a bit flat. Once again, struggle with men on base, and that seems to be the theme early on in the season. The only bright spot of that game was a Nimmo home run, but that was really about it. And the bats went cold down in Miami, which is funny because it was warm and nice. So that kind of sucked. But most
Problem was
importantly,
they never opened the roof.
no, I think they did actually for, if I'm not mistaken, for game 2 and 3, or maybe it was just game 3. I could be
Oh,
wrong. You have to
good.
fact check me on that one.
Oh, awesome. No, see, that's the problem. They never open that roof enough, and they always have some ridiculous requirement for why they can't or excuse for why they can't. That place, when that roof is open, is one of the most magnificent ballparks in baseball. You just would never understand it because who goes to the games?
Not many
Anyway,
people, but
I'm going to stop my
we
interruptions, please.
no, it's all good. We almost went there. I mean, we went there, not almost. We did go there for my bachelor party, like I told you last
Ah,
May.
yes.
But the roof was closed, and it was a beautiful ballpark. But yeah, I could totally see it being much nicer with the roof open, Miami air, your beautiful
The
weather.
sun
That feels
sets,
like
you're
more of a
stuck
ball
in like
game.
a fish can or like a tuna can. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, tuna salad. And just to wrap up the Marlins, not many people here want to hear about the Marlins for much longer, I guess. But in the rubber game of that series, Mets were down 4-1, eighth inning, looking bleak. Thought we were going to lose to the Marlins and lose the first 2 series out of the gate, which again would have raised some red flags for me. But Pete Alonso, nonetheless, early season clutch home runs seem to be a thing for him now, hitting a 3-run home run to tie the game in the eighth, which the Mets went on to later win that game 6-5 in extras in 11 innings. So again, without the continued strong pitching and the Peter Alonso heroics, we could have easily lost this series and headed back to Queens on a negative note. But luckily, we win this series and excited to get back to City playing in front of our home fans. So Ed, time to get into this opening weekend series, the home opener against the Jays, against the North, against the Canadians, who for whatever reason everyone keeps booing for whatever reason.
It's just the hot topic these days, it seems
I
like.
guess
And it
so.
sounds like you and your silly Mets fans want to blame them for something else.
Wait, what's that?
Oh, just being miserable fans who create chaos at your ballpark. And,
Yeah,
let's just
I was
pass the buck and blame the Northerners, the foreigners.
I was just asking because I will blame the Northerners because I know that there's proof behind my theory here. But again, we'll get into that and foreshadowing a bit here. We'll get into that and what went down at the ballpark at game 1 for my wife and I this season. There was some chaos that ensued at Citi Field. But either way, Ed, Siler McGill took the ball. Siler, mind you, not Tyler. Siler McGill took the ball in the home opener. And when I say he had his stuff working, it's an understatement. He was dialed in early, controlling his off-speed stuff very well. Going to more curveballs, which I like to see from him. He did get into some control trouble in the 6th inning. But again, this bullpen, which has been nails, was able to lock it down for us. On the batting side of things, still sluggish out of the gate. Even at home, we struggled, only had 4 hits in the game. But we did manage to scratch across five runs and win this game 5-0 in a shutout. And this is primarily, again, thanks to a Pete Alonso home run at City, going Apo Taco alongside a couple of timely hits by both Marte and Nimmo. So, always great to win that first game at home and get that monkey off your back. And now, Ed, here we go. Game 2 of the series, a Saturday night game in April, which is obviously going to draw the crazies to the stadium, which I don't know what the schedulers were thinking of the MLB. But yeah, mind
Yeah,
you, this is
way too late
sorry,
on a
please.
Saturday. No, just way
Way
too late
too
on a
late.
Saturday. It was a 7 o'clock start, right?
Yeah, 7:10 start, freezing our ass off. Only, the gates open an hour and a half before the game. So we're waiting in a cold mist outside the stadium. My wife was miserable, which means I was also miserable until we got in the ballpark. The mood quickly shifted because we are diehards and we love that stadium. We love this team.
You
Um,
got your beer coats on. You're feeling better.
that was it. That was the beer coats. We got the hot dogs. We got the beautiful Nathan's fries. The pastrami. Oh, don't even get me started on all that.
What did
But
this all
mind
set you
you,
back this year? Did you notice the prices? Were they crazier? Were they the same? Were they trying to make you
it,
pay for Soto's contract? What's happening?
a little crazy, but nothing too outlandish. I mean, yeah, chicken and fries, just to put in perspective on the most simpler menu items. I think it was trending around $17 for chicken and fries. Maybe in the past, like
Oh
14,
my
15,
God.
couple dollars, $2, $3 here and there adds up though when you're going to 15, 20 games a season. But
God, those Soto tariffs are gonna hit hard, man.
Soto tariffs, I like that. I mean, he's not really. I mean, I'd be happy to pay the Soto tariffs if he was performing at the plate, but we'll get into that, Ed. You're making me jump ahead here. You're making me jump
Sorry,
ahead.
sorry. I'm too excited. I just want to hear what
I know.
happened.
Me too. I forgive you, and that's why I'm taking it slow. But okay, we're in game two. I'm going to set the tone here. Mind you, this is the game that, again, obviously we're in attendance for. It was a social media takeover on the Big Apple Battle Instagram account.
Unapproved
But
and
yeah,
unauthorized, but yeah, here we are.
and again, MLB just real quick has to do better. Scheduling an early April game in New York at night on a Saturday night. It was 40 degrees and raining. It's just not it when
Gross.
you're talking prime baseball weather. But again, either way, we're diehards. We're happy to be there. And we took it all in. This is our seventh season together as Mets fans, hoping for it to be the one where we end up at the top. But we'll find out. This
Eh,
game,
keep
though,
hoping. At least
yeah,
you got
yeah,
each
yeah.
other.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. You're so right. But this game, though, it was a little reminiscent of 2024. I know we were talking about it offline. It's basically, the team was invisible. The offense was nowhere to be found in early parts of this game. There was no fight. They were completely lost and out of it. And again, it was cold. So we were not happy that we weren't hitting and there's no action. You couldn't jump around for much. Um, but yeah, this is one of those games where we wake up at the end and we pull out a stunner. Remind me a lot of last season, a lot of Candelita. But we got shut out by Chris Bassett basically through 7 innings. Ex Met, who I actually liked a lot. Nine
Really good
strikeouts,
player.
nine
Yeah.
strikeouts, which is not really his mo, but good for him. And the cold weather and Bassett looked like they kind of had the best of us. But luckily, my boy Griff Canning, yeah, I know him as Griff. We're tight. Got the job done. While it wasn't pretty, he held the Jays to 1 run through 4, where the bullpen again only allowed 1 run through the additional 5 innings to keep us in this game. And the MVP of this game goes to my boy Jesse Winker, who recorded a double and 2 triples. Now the National League leader in triples. I mean, a little early in the season.
Everybody had that on
Um,
their bingo card.
yeah, who's the triples leader after 9? Jesse Winker. But the most important of this, the most important of his hits was the 2-out triple in the eighth with 2 men on to tie the game, allowing the Mets to record their first walk-off win of the season on a Lindor sac fly. Ed, here we go. I need to address something here on the pod. I know you know what's coming. The fans do not. City Field and Mets fandom is typically a respectful and proud and of course a passionate fan base, me included. But I think because of, to your point, the carnival type vibe and the superstars that are now on the field, the ownership we now have behind paying, uh, X amount of superstars to put on this field, I fear more and more there's going to be a lot of casual fans who are going to ruin your live game experience. And for example, last night there was a situation. There were two, not one, but two field stormers ruining the flow of, mind you, a close game at the time, just a bunch of drunk assholes who basically they just can't handle their beer intake, whether they're young, middle aged, doesn't matter. We splurged, right? And we got, like I told you, we got seats right on the right field railing. Want to see Soto live. We were really excited, to see him for the first time in a Mets uniform live. And one of these idiots was actually right in front of me in the eighth inning in a close game, standing on the fucking stairs. And I told him, I'm like, hey, asshole, can you back up a little bit? Like people are in their seats standing up watching a close game. Nothing, you couldn't even see, there was nothing behind his eyes. He was blacked out. Instead of leaving, he sits on the cold, wet stairs, which is which is crazy.
It
And
made him
then
feel something, you know? It's like I now feel the cold and wet on my bum.
Ed, nothing could have made him feel anything. This guy was gone. But he was clearly
Well, leading
plotting
leading
something.
with "Hey asshole," by the way, that was pretty impressive that he didn't respond aggressively. So I'd say you already did pretty well.
He was pissing me off. The Mets were pissing me off, but but I was doing it for the fans behind me. There were kids, there was the couples. Like I like it's not just for me.
Oh,
I want to be the one who's going to speak up for people that aren't going to, especially in those situations. Like that sucks. We're all paying for the
absolutely.
seats.
Defender of the fans. I am the same way. I would do the exact same thing. But I want you to get back to this because he was plotting.
Yes,
I want to know what he
yes.
was plotting.
He was plotting, and the next thing you know, my wife taps my shoulder. She's like, "Hey, Al, they're doing it again." I'm like, what? Like I'm watching home plate. I'm watching the game, and this guy's proceeding to try to hop over the railing. Mind you, he was too drunk, and the old security guard's pulling him by both legs and bringing him back. You know, not trying to let him onto the field. And luckily, he pulled him back in. Another security guard came and jumped on him, basically put him like in a zip tie. And as he struggled for a moment, like the security guard to bring him back, I almost let my anger out on this idiot, and I wanted to fully put him in a headlock until he passed out because I was pissed. And I'm not a grouchy old man. I get rowdy, I get loud. I'm a passionate fan. I'm going to yell at George Springer and call him a cheater with the rest of us. But again, ruining the experience for other fans, disrespecting the field, the stadium, and the staff. Just a big no-no for me. And to the earlier point you made, Ed, is after the walk-off, instead of people just singing back the New York groove and kissing and hugging and cheering and all that good stuff that you do after you win,
Hmm.
there were beers being thrown into the left field. And I was disgusted by this, soon to find out, supposedly on Twitter, I was doing some research, trying to figure out what was going on, but there was a stockpile of Blue Jays fans out in left field who were supposedly doing the throwing. I don't know. I don't have all the facts. I'm hoping it's not Mets fans because it's disgusting. And there's also someone who threw a beer can at George Springer after Winker's double in the eighth. I mean, excuse me, his triple in the eighth. Springer basically looked concussed. He ran to the fence. He's laying there. And someone threw a beer at him. I mean, I don't care how much you dislike a player. That's just wrong, and that's not just good behavior.
It's unacceptable. And also, who the hell are they to do that? If it is a Mets fan, what hate do you have toward George Springer? As a baseball fan, whatever. You want to hate the Astros, you want to throw things at people, former Astros. I get the idea or the understanding. You still shouldn't do it. It's disgusting, horrible, abhorrent behavior. But on top of that, you're blaming Canada. Like, leave it to Mets fans to blame Canada. It's just the appropriate
Oh
thing to do
God,
these days. Like, let's
they
just
could have been
glom
playing the
on.
Giants. I'd be blaming San Francisco. It doesn't matter who it is.
That would have been better, especially just our political climate. But given things
Yeah,
and that situation, it just makes me laugh and makes me want to defend Yankee fans to some degree and extent, right? As a Yankee fan, all we ever hear is how disgusting and horrid we are. All we are drunk idiots. All we are obnoxious. The Bronx Zoo, yada yada, and we lean into it sometimes, right? Clearly, absolutely.
yeah.
But to your point, when anything gets big, anything gets hot, when it's an event, a place to be, you're no longer the docile fans because everybody wants to be a part of it, right? It's not the Mets of yesteryear or a few years ago where, oh, you know what? They're wholesome, they're sweet. What a feel-good story. This is what happens when you want to be the big brother in New York, right? For lack of a better term, quote
I
unquote.
guess
Brandon Nimmo, all these things. You want this. This is what happens. Expectation breeds this kind of environment. It's
I'm gonna push
disgusting.
back. Ed. No, it
Go
is
ahead.
disgusting. I'm gonna push back at this. You're right. Expectation does breed this kind of environment, but the true passion, diehard fans like myself and you included, right, for both of our respective fan bases,
Oh,
it's still
absolutely.
a way to present yourself at a ball game, right? There's unwritten rules on how to behave at a ball game and just be a fucking decent human being, right? Like you could heckle, you could cheer, you could be passionate, you could boo, and you could scream your lungs out, you could lose your voice, and you could chug beers, and you could be drunk, and you could be a little chaotic, right? And a little zoo-like, but you're also not one disrupting the flow of the game, meaning you're running on the field like an asshole. You're not
Hmm.
throwing beers and disrupting, ruining your field and your stadium. You're not trashing the place, and you're not ruining it for maybe kids and up and coming baseball fans around you who maybe were never into the game or trying to get into the game, or again a kid who's just there with his parents who's now scared of this drunk idiot who's trying to run on the field and wreak havoc, and
Right.
people
Why
are
would I want
yelling
to do that
slurs at
again?
him. Yeah,
Exactly. Or right, yelling at children wearing a hat of the opposing team or whatever it might be, right? Which is just like,
yeah,
why would you go that far? And that's been going on for years. But still to this point, I agree with you. I am one of those fans. I'm a Yankee fan and I like to say, not one of those Yankee fans, right? Because the
you're not.
reality
Yeah, I
is
could vouch for you.
I appreciate that. But, and maybe it's egocentric and whatever it is, but I respect the game. You're right. There is decorum that needs to be followed, unwritten rules. You can go so far, but there's variance within going a little too far and maybe not going far enough, whatever. There's a little bit of wiggle room within those unwritten rules. However, people take it too far. I've seen it on countless occasions at Yankee Stadium. The chants that have been banned over time for how horrid they were. Yankee Stadium bleachers at the old stadium, they removed beer sales and alcohol sales from the bleachers for this behavior. And it's
Mm.
back at Yankee Stadium now, and it's 10 times worse than it was from any time I remember it. I don't believe it was even that bad during the 70s, 80s when they probably were instituting that ban, right? But because this is what we create, the Cubs for so long. Wholesome, yeah, they're the team that could do it. It's so great to see, and we hope they will. Everybody's favorite team, the Darlings. Then you go to Wrigley now, ultra corporate,
Mm.
ultra, we're better than you. Who do you think you are? Look what we've done. And that mentality changes quickly. Lovable losers to we are perennial winners. That is a weird taste to be left in a team's mouth and a franchise fan base's mouth because it seems like where did this come from, right? How did this happen? We're still the fans. We're still the same people. We love this team.
Yeah.
We don't behave like that,
We're
but it's a hot
disgusted
thing
by
to
it.
show up to, right? Yeah, exactly. But it's a hot thing to show up to. And the people who aren't the diehards who have sat through the, you know, miserable cold for
Mm.
years of losing seasons, whatever it might be, through thick and thin there, those aren't the ones that are showing up when their team is good. They're not. And the more corporate you get, this is what you can expect. And I don't mean to be shitty when I say this to Mets fans. You think you have the best environment, you have the best, all this. It will be corporate and soulless soon enough. This is just the
Mm.
first step toward that. And you talk about the Yankees. Why do you think we care more about the tradition, not the circus environment? All these things. They are overly corporate, but in the end, they focus on baseball. When you're there, the sport is about baseball. You want to go and do other corporate shit, fine. It's kind of boring though. Go watch the baseball, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that the fans are better. It doesn't mean you're breeding a better environment, but at least they lean into that idea sometimes where it's like, all right, the true diehards, what we're here for. We're still showing that this is what it's about. We'll try to
Yep.
put the kibosh on some other things and behaviors, kicking fans out for heckling Jay Bruce, talking about, ordering everything on the menu once upon a time. Um, any number of things, right? And it keeps going. And I don't mean to like bogart this conversation, but I saw this at Yankee Stadium just the other night, Alec. Like we're behind home plate, and this is a very different way to look at things, right? We're behind home plate. Yankees are up by 4 runs, 3 runs. Looks like we got the game in the bag. Will Warren pitched a great game. Corbin Burns didn't look that great against the Diamondbacks. And who do we have in? God. Oh, Mark Leiter, who had been killing it for us most of the season, right? Comes up. Josh Naylor's at the plate. And all you hear, and this started with the Astros, tie it all together to George Springer, right? The
Hmm.
fuck Altuve chants. Have you heard these, the chants? They're everywhere, right?
Of course.
Yankee fans have taken to saying fuck Altuve when he's not even around. Like it's just fuck Altuve, and it's like this petty, stupid. You don't even know what you're cheering or jeering at, right? You're just
Yeah.
angry, and you want to let everybody know how you feel about the state of baseball or whatever the hell it is. Then that's gone on to Josh Naylor, because we have to create little mini villains for our team because we just need someone to get mad at. So Josh Naylor, after rocking the baby, Guardians, whatever, Gleyber Torres mocked him back, and he's on the Diamondbacks now, and everyone's like, "Fuck Josh Naylor." Da, da. Okay, fine. Even there, you want to carry it there, leave it there, fine, fine. Next batter, bases are loaded, like I said. I'm looking around. It's the lower bowl. I snuck down behind home plate, not my seats. I snuck down. Great time. And I look around me, and all these people spending massive amounts of money to do this, by the way. So here we go back to like the not real fans, maybe
Yeah.
start a fuck you Suarez because they can't say a Eugenio. Fuck you Suarez, right? Keep saying that. I'm looking around. I'm like, stop. I'm not saying it loud, but I'm just like, this is gonna blow up in our faces. This is gonna blow up in our faces. Guy swings as hard as he can on the next pitch, and I'm not kidding, dude. He can hear it. We're so close that they can hear this. He's gonna be motivated. He swings out of his shoes and misses. Fuck it, he doesn't care. But if he hits that ball where he could, hits a home run, that's a grand slam. Guess what the fuck happens?
Grand slam.
Grand slam. I look around at everybody. I'm like, just fuck you. I said it out loud, audibly. I was going to get kicked out of the seats. Angry at Yankee fans because they just couldn't hold it. Like, seriously, do we not know anything about motivation in sports? Villains, heroes, all these things? Like, I feel like kids don't know the storylines of how sports worked once upon a time, so they just keep doing this shit thinking it's fun. But there's
Yeah.
like no, like, you're involved, man. The fans are a major factor of the game. And the fact that this is how they want to behave it's disgusting. And yeah, I'm sorry. You might just see a little bit more of it. And I'm not saying this is all Yankee fans, all Mets fans, but I'm just saying it doesn't make anybody any different. It's not any doesn't matter. It's the circumstances. If you're
Yeah.
New York fans, you're going to behave just as gross as the other. It just depends how involved or invested you are. Because if you love it, you're not going to treat it poorly. If you don't, you're probably not going to give a shit.
Well, Ed, I mean, beautifully said. And you know what, fans? we finally got Edmanac fired up on this pod because we have not seen that yet.
Woo!
And now you know what it looks like, and watch out for that man.
I'm sweating.
But Ed, you made so many great points there. And the one thing I will say is I will not allow, and Steve Cohen will not allow Citi Field to become a corporate environment. Sure, they got the gimmicks and they got all the fucking mascot races and the dancers and all this stuff. But the baseball is what's going to play and matter the most at the end of the day. And I hope it stays like that because, again, to your point, like that's why we go. That's why you and I go. I'm not going there to watch a bunch of dancers dance on the dugout or Mr. Met do 50 push-ups with one hand or
Right.
fucking the mascots running races or a drunk asshole running on the field.
Or to
Like,
keep everybody distracted out of their seats and not watching the fucking game. Like again,
yeah, exactly. The food's still the best, and I'll go for that.
but
But I
that's what
will,
but that's
yeah,
what the Marlins have to do. It's not what you guys have to do. And it does feel
that's
like
fair.
why not have given you guys the chance at being like that organization before you went all like circusy and wacky and listen, maybe it gives you the wholesome vibes that you do need to retain while you go through this period of evolution, right? Because your fans are going to show up, they're still going to have the diehards, but you're going to have a little bit more of that, undesirable fan.
Yeah.
And it's just how it goes. It becomes an event. It could be, and think about like US Open time when people are out to see tennis
Oh,
in
forget about
Flushing,
it.
and it's going to get crazy. It's going to get
Yeah.
crazy.
But Ed, regardless, I'm going to bring us back to a topic here, but I appreciate the sentiment, and I'm glad we're in agreement on this because I think it's a hot topic of conversation throughout the season. I'm curious to see where this goes, and you know what, Ed, this also does remind me of just simply why I love day baseball and why it's meant to be a day game. In my opinion, night games are fun, but again, they're made to look like a night out, a party, which is okay, but not if you are a jackass who always has to take it a little too far, which we've just established. And night games for me, I'll say for late October, I said my piece. so
I'm a big
so
fan of like the
yeah.
midweek night game too. I feel like
Ooh, that's
most
a good
times
one.
you're all right. Like a Wednesday, Tuesday, it's like
Yeah.
really no one shows up. Thursday is when it gets a little hairy.
For Thursday through Saturday, even a Sunday night game like on ESPN or whatever it is fine.
Oh,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
plus, then you don't have to listen to those fucking shitty ESPN broadcasters. Unless it's Joe Buck. Unless it's Joe Buck, because I think he's starting to come back. I don't know what's going on there, but
God,
we'll.
I missed his voice, man. That was so good on opening day. It was so tough to like,
I think it
yeah.
depends on the broadcast booth for the game, but I think he's gonna be doing some from what I'm reading, from
And
what
I
I'm
don't hate the
seeing.
ESPN guys, but I really don't. And I hate to be like crappy, but like the Fox broadcast using Joe Davis, the Dodger guy, he's just so
Yeah,
vanilla, so boring. Give me
and
John
he's
Miller
also
on Sunday Night
favoriting the
Baseball.
Dodgers.
Right, and he clearly is, but people are going to say he does a great job not doing that. We'll get into that another day.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
John Miller, Joe Morgan, if we could go back to John Miller, he's still doing
Mm,
Giants games. Like I would be so grateful, but
same,
alas.
same. Yes, let's bring it back. I'll wrap this up. So I guess we got to somehow put a bow on this series. Right? I was still talking about
We
a
love you,
baseball
fans. We
game.
still love you. It's
No,
okay.
let's put it this way. I'm gonna put it very black and white. I love my passionate diehard Mets fans, but not the casual drunk asshole who's gonna come and disrupt our team and our game. Boom.
There you go. And that's why I don't believe you
That's
really
it.
need to cater to everybody. That's the problem with the
No
game. Don't cater to everyone, cater to your market, and people will grow up and become baseball fans naturally through osmosis, through the people they love and care about. You don't need
family.
to be so gimmicky, man. Stop trying to get the people that you can't win over. It's not going to happen.
Exactly, Ed. And again, I guess we were talking about a baseball game, so I do want to, put a bow on this series and talk about Sunday. It was a beautiful Sunday afternoon. We didn't have much going on at the Schwartz household. I sat down, scoring my third game of the season. I'm 2-1 now, so it's not bad luck, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
shit. Now I'm going to have to get into
exactly. But we, put a bow on the series again. I've said that a million times, but
it.
we were able to scratch across a few runs thanks to another Pete Alonso base hit. No one else, again, did much with the bats. Still quiet, still an issue. Peterson was good enough. He was having some control trouble. Supposedly he had some nausea in the fifth inning that couldn't allow him to get the last out to, be qualifying for a win for this game, which is a shame. But he was struggling. We pulled him, but again, the bullpen was nasty, and once again held it down with Kranick and Brazabon, and of course Diaz and Garrett and sorry, Brazabon didn't even pitch this game, but he's just been so good. He's top of mind. Minter looked great. It's occurring two strikeouts, but again, allowed us to have a 2-1 win and a sweep of the opening homestand, which is obviously a beautiful way to wrap up that initial, first homestand. And Ed, to put a bow on this, and I'll pass to the Yanks because I know we've been talking a lot of Mets, but I do want to provide you quick stats to wrap up the first three series and kind of the main highlights here. I'm going to run through it. Stop me at any time. But lastly, it's time to let the baseball nerds out. It's stat time. So we know the pitching is the talking point here, as we didn't think it would be at this point in the season, but we posted a 2.03 ERA, just the starters, mind you, in the first 9 games of the season, with all starters outside of Senga posting a sub-3 ERA, which is pretty absurd through their first two starts around the rotation. And there's more. The bullpen, baby. Like I called early in the offseason, I actually, we could look back and we could pull some voiceover, because I definitely called this bullpen improving year over year. It was a strong, it's going to be a strong suit of the 2025 season, an area of improvement. And the team bullpen ERA is a 1.29 through 35 innings, which is in baseball the best.
Insane.
Insane. And it's going to get crazier. So not only is the bullpen the best in baseball, and I've really dug in here, so I want to give it for our baseball nerds, but these 6 relievers, Diaz, Brazaban, Stanek, Garrett, Kranick, and Buto, 25 innings, 1 earned run, which comes out to a 0.35 ERA and a 0.67 whip. One more step further, Ed. Ready? Out of pocket guys. Of course, Reed Garrett being an exception because he's kind of in the circle of trust. But Brazaban, Kranick, and Garrett, being Brazaban and Kranick, were big question marks this year. They pitched to 18 innings, allowing no runs with a 0.44 whip. I think 10 inherited runners stranded, and that's just outstanding and simply music to my ears. And without this bullpen, we easily would be sub 500 right now, in my opinion. Yeah, let me give me 1 second. Clap it up for the bullpen and the starting rotation.
Oh, yeah. What's happening here? I'm very confused by this moment, but this will be a break that we can fill in with some sort of ad sponsor, I'm sure.
No need. No sponsors yet. Just a bunch of claps from the Schwartz household. So the batting, which again, as we know, this team is supposed to
I'll give
be...
them a clap. There you go.
Yeah, of course you are.
Guys.
This was supposed to be our strength. I know it's your strength, and I'm sure you're going to talk plenty of it. But heading into this season, yes, I still think it will be at the end of the day a strength when it's all said and done. But right now, it's ugly. The team batting average is 197 with a 282 on base percentage, 67 strikeouts, and this all ranks in the bottom 5 of the league at the moment. Our reliable guys, those guys that we need those bats to pick up, like a Nimmo, where they're all quiet. Excuse me, Nimmo, 711 OPS, Marte, 182 average, Lindor, 500 OPS, Vientos, forget about it, 118 average, 365 OPS. then the bottom of the order that we need to step up. With all the injuries to McNeil and Alvarez, they're doing nothing. Siri stinks. He stinks. 0.59 average, 318 OPS. Beatty, I'm sorry. I've advocated for him. Go back to AAA. He's hitting 0.95 in 21 at bats. It's sad. I can't believe I'm saying this early, but it's been 4 years, man. I don't know if he's a big leaguer. I really don't know anymore. And I guess we're going to see. But
yeah. I mean, but it's also, you got Vientos, who I'm hearing more from Mets fans, like, what the hell happened to this guy? And I know you just mentioned it, but is he more the issue? And again, they're both having trouble, and I know Beatty's had less traction over the years, but are you having similar worries about both, or is it really just like, Beatty, I've had enough time, like, I'm fed up?
So it's more so about Beatty, just because Vientos, again, kind of had a prove-it year last year where he had 27 home runs, right? Or whatever the number was, and had an awesome season and a great playoff run and showed improvement at third base. So I don't worry about Vientos as much. I think, he's worked with Lindor enough in the offseason and during the season to really kind of, and he has that DNA, I think, where he's just what's the word I'm looking for? Someone who is always looking to improve and better himself and his situation. So I'm just more worried about Beatty because, again, he's never proven it. He hasn't had a year like Vientos had in 24. And Vientos, small sample size, small thing to lean on. He struck out a bunch still, but 2 hits past 2 days, so it's better than no hits when he had an 0 for 13. So
it was Soto buying Beatty that damn car. Now he doesn't have to earn his money. You got to work for it.
You're right. Honestly, he should sell the car and drive like a 90 Camry or something, exactly. and just kind of feel it again and be okay. I got to grind. But
yeah, get back to your roots.
Yeah. The silver lining I did want to quick put here at it is on Lindor. He has woken up in this homestand since he's now a boy dad. And he's posted a 107 OPS with a 500 on base. Again, it's just 7 at bats, but it's still a improvement that I need to highlight because he's hitting 200. I know that's nothing to us baseball fans, but it's better than what we've seen in past Aprils. So it's improving earlier, which is honestly good to see. So I'm happy with that.
Hey, anything to speed up that clock, because usually you're like, what, mid-April, and you're like, come on, turn it on.
Exactly. Like all of April is usually a mess. And right now it's April 6th, where who knows? He might just break out this week. Like, we don't know. Yeah. And he's starting to show a trend in the right direction. And then the one guy, honorable mention, MVP of the season outside of the pitching, is Polar Pete.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude, you called that, man. That weight off his polar bear shoulders.
that's it. That's it. 290 average, 106 OPS, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs in just 9 games. I'm really excited to see how this comeback tour continues on because I think Pete is going to be 50 plus. And quick note here for our fans, Ed, and we're going to keep this tally and count going, which I do not have. But when you're talking, I'll do the research. We're going to have for you guys Aaron Judge and Pete Alonso. Excuse my language, but it's just fun this way. A fuck bomb count, meaning a total home run count for both of our monsters in Queens and the Bronx. And I personally think they're going to get 100 plus. And if they do get 100 plus, which is 50 apiece, I think it's doable. And I think it's realistic, honestly. We will put some polls out. We'll get some ideas out there and we're going to have to do some sort of challenge if they do this.
Well, Judge will help you out because he'll hit about
Exactly.
63, and then
Around
Polar Bear
42
Pete
on
can
my
hit
end, 45.
37 or something like that. Yeah, so we'll be fine. It'll be cool. We can keep the pressure off Pete because our boy Judge is going to carry the bulk of the weight there.
I see. I see. You know what? Pete is tracking for 40 plus, and I'll take that all day. I don't need him to hit 60. I don't need
And
him to
hey,
hit 60.
if you want to break it down, really, because he's at 3 right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're at 9 total combined. So they are on pace together for 162. So there you go.
That's it. One a game, baby. One a
That's
game.
it,
That's
baby.
all you need.
I think we can maintain.
I mean, I don't see why not. I think Pete's gonna hit more anyway than just 3 and 9. I mean, that's still a nice little pace, but
Yeah, Judge will get 90 and Pete can have 70. How's that sound? That
that's
sounds about
that's
right.
that's insane. Yeah, we'll get into all Judge. I'm gonna pass you the torch very shortly, so you could talk all Judge, and I know there's a lot to
Absolutely.
say about him, but saving the best for last, which sucks. Which is it doesn't suck because he's a Met, but it sucks because how he's playing. It's Juan Soto. I don't want to overreact. A lot of the fan base is baseball, guys, is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a long season. He's human. Players will always slump and always have tough stretches. It's cold. It's 40 degrees. It's windy. He will be
Mm.
fine. He's Juan Soto. And sure, Ed, I did want to note this. Like he's not playing like he's worth 800 million because frankly, no one should be worth $800 million.
I didn't say it.
Um,
Well, I did say it, but
but I'll even say it. But you know what? He's slumping. And the craziest part is a Soto slump. I'm looking at his stat. It's not a normal slump. He's still posting nearly a 400 OBP. He's always on base. We know that he walks plenty. And his
Mhm.
OPS is 823. Sure. Yes. 3 RBIs and 1 home run. That's not going to do it. That is not what we sign up for. But Ed, you and I both know when the weather is warm, just watch out. Soto is not going anywhere. He's going to be fine. I mean, come on. You got
Yeah.
to admit that.
And dude, no, that's exactly it. He's coming to a bigger ballpark, right? You're coming to a new team. He proved in the same place he opened last season to be the player he is in Houston, right? Hit his home run there. He got a little bit warmer climate rolling into the season. So who knows what slowed him down a little bit. 242 at this stage of the game is doesn't mean anything, right? You
No.
get 2 hits and you're up to 350, something like that. No, it's a little different now, but still, those
Close.
numbers are going to change quickly. But to your point, or to I guess my point at some point, I wanted to ask you this as a little bit of a dig.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're seeing a guy get on base, but he can't do anything to drive the runs home, right? It's not that he's at fault, like he's getting on base, he's doing things, he can drive runs home, but if he's on base and no one's driving him in, what's the value of getting on base sometimes? Which is great.
That,
Like, you know what I mean? It can
yeah.
be frustrating and you'll see it as the season progresses where he might sell out for the walk, which is great. You want to keep the line moving, all that. But at times it feels like, man, you should be doing the big damage here. You should be that guy. And it's hard to reconcile that sometimes as a fan. And I wonder if you're seeing that yet or if you will eventually.
So we were, and I think it's starting to again trend in the right direction. I think early in the season we were seeing that where he was getting walked, not only in the Houston series and the Marlins series. He started off actually a little high. He's actually regressed honestly towards the back end of the Marlins series and really throughout the whole Blue Jay series. But you're seeing it more because you look at the two guys who primarily have batted behind him, Nimmo and Alonso together, 16 RBIs. The rest of the team probably doesn't even equate to 16 RBIs.
Right.
So that kind of does highlight and show you that okay, he's getting on base, but at least now Alonso more so than Nimmo, but Alonso's picking up that slack and really starting to understand like, hey, this guy's getting on base. They're going to come to me because they're kind of going to have to.
Right.
Let's make them pay.
Right. And that's why you're always going to need somebody that backs him up that can do that damage. And it's great that Pete's off to this hot start, but if he slumps and you don't have Vientos filling in that role or Nimmo or somebody like
Yeah.
that, it can be a little like, damn, this my big bopper can't bop. And the guys that are supposed to protect him can't drive him in. So again, you could have a problem this early on. I don't expect it to be a problem. He is going to uh, progress to the mean and probably even better. He's just entering his prime seasons, as you mentioned. But again, he will have a bigger ballpark. He won't hit as many home runs. I'm guaranteeing that. But he
Mm.
still will be the guy that you signed up for. 280, 35 home runs, near 100 RBIs, 400 on base. It's just the construction. He's so stuck to
Ye-
that second hole. It's like you need him to be a little more flexible to be the guy that can like really do even more damage, I think.
Well, and Ed, to that point, it's interesting because actually, shout out Evan Roberts. He made this call on in his early offseason predictions or projections or how he wanted the lineup construction to shake out. He actually had Pete batting second and having Soto behind him as his protection. And now
Right.
I'm seeing how things are shaking out, and I'm tempted to see what that looks like for a few weeks, a month. Like I don't even
Yeah.
know because let Soto see some pitches. Right now, there's nothing good coming. And mind you, I've seen a few down the plate that he's missing, and you could see it in his face. He's just not
Hmm.
right yet, and
Yep.
he'll be fine, and he'll hit those soon.
Yep.
But I don't know, Ed. And like if Pete is batting second and Lindor is in front of him, I feel like everyone has a little bit of protection there.
Yeah, and you
You
get a
know,
little more well-rounded. I agree, especially because you got the good thing is that you got switch at the leadoff position, so lefty righty matchups, all that.
that's fair. That's true. Yeah, yeah.
But so you got like ultimate flexibility in that respect. But the thing about Soto is he's so stuck in that spot. He like refused to leave the two hole when Judge had always had the two hole. You get what I mean? So I just wonder if is he going to be stubborn? Is the team even going to want to ask him or approach him about that? Because he is. He's like, I bat second. I play right field. I will not DH. Like he is. I don't know. I don't know if he's stubborn or if it's in his deal or whatever. I just wonder
Yeah.
how much he's going to be the problem in that respect.
I was gonna say too. I think they wanted. I mean, I think they always wanted this. They wanted, Lindor, Soto, Alonso, and Nimmo or Vientos. Mind you, depends how the season shakes out. Obviously, right
Sure,
now
but
it's
what you
Nimmo,
want versus
but
how it goes and what you got to do to shake shit up, you know?
well, like how Lindor, we never thought he'd be leadoff, and now that's where he is, and that's where he is going to be for the foreseeable future in his Mets
Right.
tenure. So the season has a funny way of making you basically just rejigger everything that
Hmm.
you thought was right or would work, and if it's not, it's course correcting. That's what baseball's about. It's a big game of course correcting. It's a big game of chess. So
Absolutely,
you
but he
know
needs to be willing to move if they're going to course
that's the
correct.
thing.
And that's I
And
just want to know if that's part of the deal or the contract or any of
I think in the contract it says you have to listen to everything we say because we give you $800 million. So hopefully,
Yeah, exactly. I get number 22 and a suite for my family, but that's about it. No, I
Ed, but
agree with you, and I
yeah.
just hope that for you guys, it would be an interesting thing to see switched. And I wonder if the Yankees would have benefited in any way from that switch themselves. I don't know.
Mm,
Soto's just got a ton to offer, and I think by testing him in different places and seeing how other guys maybe improve in other slots in that lineup, you might have a
can't hurt.
better situation. So,
Yeah, it can't hurt. And it's weird though because I love watching the Mets like every night, most nights, as you know, and I'm like more excited to watch Soto play now because he's due to break out more so than
mm,
his. It's kind of weird. Like he's been so pedestrian that I'm like, I'm waiting for that game where this guy hits 3 home runs or this guy has 3 doubles and this guy drives in 5, whatever it is, it's
right,
gonna come. So
totally.
time will tell. I'm gonna keep watching, keep waiting, keep scoring, and we'll go from there. But Ed, I talked enough and I covered the Mets enough.
Oh my
We're
God, I forgot
starting.
this was a Yankee podcast too.
Yeah, it's New York baseball, but we're 6-3 out of the game. We just come off a sweep. I had to give them their flowers, and I'll get to how this kind of lined up with my preseason predictions later in the show. But Ed, I need to get some water. You now have the floor, my friend.
Oh, why, thank you. You're too kind. And now that the fans have all left, I will do the mop-up duty here. But yeah, dude, I mean, listen, Yankees baseball, as we talked about, a lot of the things that we thought would go well have, right? The Yankees were smashing to start the season, as we saw with the Brewers. Poor Nestor, we already got on that. But
Oh,
going into the second series, we thought maybe the pitching would slow us down with Corbin Burns, Merrill Kelly. Um, who am I forgetting? Oh, Zach Gallen.
Gallon as
Sorry,
well.
Zach
Yeah,
Gallen, exactly. And we talked about the preview matchup between Gallen and Jazz. I think Gallen got the best of Jazz. I think Gallen got the best of everybody that game. We had 15 strikeouts in back-to-back games, I believe, between Corbin Burns and Gallen. So not really what you're looking for. However, we did have some offensive ability in that game that we played against Corbin Burns. So not really somebody that we've been historically all that scared of. Had that game in hand. Will Warren started, looked beautiful, looked like a not dominant, but had a bulldog mentality, working out of jams, getting into some situations where he again worked himself out and looked like a very capable fifth starter in this rotation. Just unfortunate that we couldn't get him his first win in his first major league start because, as we alluded to earlier, or just flat out mentioned, Yankee fans had to motivate a Eugenio Suarez to hit that
Oh,
god awful grand slam and send us all home very sadly. But I will say, at the end of that, I did get to hear That's Life played for the first time instead of New York,
but
New
yeah, Ed,
York.
quick question for you. Why do they play? I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. Why are they playing the songs during a loss?
So, wait, do you not play a song during your losses?
Maybe they do. I just listen to Back in New York Groove when we win, so I don't even know what
Well,
the hell
that's
we
it.
play during
So
loss.
that's the history, and Yankee fans know it well. But for you uneducated Mets fans, we'll keep you
Yeah,
informed.
fill me in.
So once upon a time, it used to be different versions of New York, New York, right? So we would hear uh, Frank's version and after wins. So everybody loves that. But you would know that after losses at the old stadium, they would play Liza Minnelli's version. Liza Minnelli being the daughter of Judy Garland, that is the main character from Wizard of Oz, Dorothy. So anyway, we'll get back. Liza
Okay.
Minnelli, very popular. She had a version, and she found it offensive that when the Yankees lost, they would play her versions. So she wrote a letter and requested that they stop doing that. That was at the old stadium. So when they came to the new one, it was just New York, no matter what. And I don't really know why. It didn't really make sense. It actually hit me very oddly the first time I had heard that. I was like, what the fuck's going on? Because you hear the right, you hear that, and it's just like, shit, we won. Hell yeah, great stuff. Like you can be in the bathroom and you know we won. And the other version kind of started slower. So it was just a little nuance and a variance, but it worked, right?
Hmm.
Now, Yankee fans, and this is where everybody's like, "Oh, the Yankees are just trying too hard to cater to every the outside noise and what everybody else is saying and doing." And da 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 da. After that Dodgers World Series, a lot of things changed. The Beards obviously are back. Hal's listening to fans and their comments and critiques, and you know, often people say the Yankees don't do that, so give them a little credit here. They decided, you know what? Why not use something else from Frank or a different song in the same vein, very New York, very Northeast, tri-state area, but maybe do something a little like That's Life. So they started it in spring training. We were all wondering if that was going to happen at the ballpark in the Bronx, and I was a unlucky fan that got to hear the first version of it. So it did
Interesting.
happen. We did hear That's Life, and it was. I tried recording for the pod, but my storage issues just continue to rear their ugly
Yeah,
head.
we have to get you a new cell phone. Everyone on the pod will chip in. We'll get a GoFundMe for you.
Oh, thank you. That's very important. We'll add $1 donation for each home run Judge hits. We'll figure
There
that
we
all
go.
out.
That's not bad. But Ed,
Yeah,
that's I don't know. To me, as a
you
Met,
can't be the Edmanac without fully stored phone, is what I'm trying to tell you.
that's exactly right. And Alecism here is to me, I think it's silly playing any song when you lose. I'm not trying to leave the stadium and hear a song that we should get to know and come to love, excuse me, because we lost the game. I'm walking down the stairs. I don't want to hear, I would hate to hear like, Piano Man at a loss. Like that's our eighth inning jam. Like we're
I was
trying to
gonna
come
say, I
back.
don't
We're
even
trying
think
to
that's
win the
your
game.
eighth inning jam. Don't they just have like a vote and every
Yeah, it's
time they pick
bullshit,
that
dude.
song?
It was Piano Man last night, and I was juiced up. My wife hated it. You want to call me maybe or some other bullshit. I was juiced up for Piano Man.
I'm pretty sure every time I've heard that, it's always Piano Man. I don't think I've ever gone and heard anything else picked but Piano Man for
It
those
has to
three
be. It
choices.
just has to be. But
Gotta be.
I digress. I'll let you get back to some Yankee fodder here.
Oh, no, 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 it's all
You
good.
got to
I'm
talk
actually
ball.
No, and well, actually, I just think you're too miserable after a loss that you're probably tuning out that they do have music. There's no way that ballpark goes silent when they lose. There's absolutely no way. I don't think they're playing back in New York Groove, but like they're definitely playing something.
I mean, it's probably just screaming fans, maybe. I'm gonna tune in next time, but I mean, hopefully this year I go to no losses. Last year was rough. We're 1-0 this year.
There
But
you
Ed,
go.
I will say before you get back into it on the Diamondback side, the one thing I will say where your bats kind of slowed down against Burns and Gallen, understandable. Most teams would. Those are
It
two
wasn't
guys who will.
Burns. We chased Burns, all right? How dare you?
Oh,
We just
sorry, whatever.
lost in the end.
Gallen, I meant. I didn't mean to couple those together, but Gallen is a guy who's going to receive Cy Young votes. So don't be too hard on yourself, Yankees fans.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's crazy because we talked about it, but Jazz traded for Gallon. Gallon traded for Jazz. Marlins Diamondbacks back in the day. Derek Jeter really wanted Jazz on the Marlins, but I remember that deal and thinking, dude, this dude is insanely good. The Marlins need pitching. What are they doing? But
Mm.
as we've seen, they keep pumping out pitchers and never have any offense. So maybe Jeets knew what he was doing a little bit there, but Gallon has turned into a preeminent starter
Oh,
in the National League over the last 5 years. And
yeah.
he
So
did get
Ed,
the
what
best of Jazz in that game too.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say he definitely did, but Jazz again been red hot, so it's hard to look at that. But yeah, in terms of the Diamondbacks and the Pirates series, like
Well, speaking of all these things, sorry, I'm going to get back on track because you say, as we're talking about Jazz against the Diamondbacks,
Hmm.
something that I noticed about this team and something that coming in, the offense is great and it is moving the line and it's everything that I wanted it to be in terms of the dynamic ability to, again, get a base hit, get a walk, drive in runners, small ball, home runs, whatever it might be. They're kind of doing everything throughout that lineup. There's not one thing they're not doing. However, the one thing I was surprised to see is that their strikeouts are up in many parts of the lineup, and Jazz is one of the big culprits in that. Today is a game where we didn't really have any offense going at all until the ninth inning. We were down 4-1. Andrew Heaney, former Yankee, just making us look stupid. Makes me wonder if we just cannot hit those finesse pitchers really as well as
Hmm.
the hard throwers. I feel like this team is geared up for pumping heat at you and like able to turn around on a fastball these days.
Not that Brewer
Obviously,
series.
I was going to say, obviously, that's proven differently for the Brewers. I just think the Brewers weren't locating nearly as well. Heaney was
Hmm.
also on today. He was dotting corners. He was getting people to swing at changeups down, falling off the table, sliders, whatever it might be. Just didn't look like that with the Yankees, so it was quite frustrating. Um, but again, finesse, and when you have control, I wonder how the Yankees will fare, right? Again, speed, like a Gallon, perfect example. He's a finesse guy. He doesn't throw overly hard. Burns, much harder than Gallon, right? But Gallon knows how to locate. Again, has speed, but better location and relies more on that and pinpoint control than Burns does, for example. So just something that I've noticed early on. And in this game, Jazz had the only RBI for most of the game, hitting a big RBI double, center straightaway center field, like hella pop coming off that bat right now. Torpedo or not, hitting straightaway center, it's great and everything you want to see. So my worry is that he's selling out for the home run a little bit too much now, though. Right? He's got 4 home runs, I think, something like that. Has is tied with Judge for leaders in WAR at point 0.8 so far in the season. But he's also struck out 17 times in 9 games, which is not really in line with how he is, right? He's played only 120 games, or he's played 120 games only twice in his career, right? Only past that amount, I should say. And in those years, he's had an average K rate of about 28%, something like that. When he came over to the Yankees last year, however, he had his lowest K percentage at 23%. So they figured that they may have unlocked something with him. Come to show this season, he's at 37% strikeout rate with these home runs. So is he cheating on the home run? Is he pulling the ball? He's not even pulling the ball all that much. I just think that he's seeing the results of swinging hard. And when you do that, you tend to swing through the ball, right? We
Hmm.
talked about Suarez. We talk about Judge. Judge averages 170 strikeouts a year, but you'll take it. Jazz just worries me in that respect because I think he can be more dynamic. I don't know that he's your true cleanup hitter. I think it's just the way it's working out right now and the way the lineup has shaken out thus far. Not a huge problem, just something it's like with all that good, there might be a little bit of worry. So I don't want him to change too much of the player that he can be. His ground ball percentage is like non existent at this point, so that's fine. But again, this is kind of a theme that I'm seeing within the Yankees lineup, right? Volpe, another example of a guy. He's hitting with way less pull, more to center, but also line drives are way down, 8% this year and normally he's a career 24% line drive hitter. Fly balls are way up, 50% from a career 24%. And this is early on, but we're talking
Hmm.
torpedo bats, we're talking approaches, right? Um, are they swinging as hard as they can because they feel confident with these bats and therefore maybe more balls are popping up and or they're not as worried about a line drive and are cheating for the home run with this bat? I'm not really sure, but Volpe's hitting close to 300. Not as many strikeouts. I think only 3 so far. So no, it might be actually 9 and 3 walks. Sorry, but point is, I'm trying to figure out if the bats are getting into the heads of these guys or are they actually creating better hitters.
And I think
And
it's sorry,
no,
not
go
to
ahead.
cut you off. I was just saying, I feel like it's more so the bats are just regressing to their means, coming out so hot in in that Milwaukee series. And to that point, I don't even. I feel like you're harping on something that might not even be a problem for your team. I want to go. I mean, I'll let you finish your sentiment, but I was going to say that team ERA is 4.5 and it ranks 18th in the majors. The bullpen, let alone, is 4.6. I feel
Oh
like the
no,
pitching.
I haven't gotten to my problems yet. I'm trying
Yeah.
to
Oh.
say that the hitting,
Oh.
everybody's
Okay.
talking about the beauty of the hitting, and I think what we need to realize is that as great as it is, there are some numbers that make you stress a little bit. So
That's
when you
fair.
have a game like today where you lose to the Pirates after a 3-run, comeback in the ninth inning, thanks to our boy Trent Grisham, which, by the way, greater than Soto.
That's the most ridiculous take ever. I
It's the
will
Trent
let's
Grisham
let
trade. I'm not going to say anything
move
otherwise. I'm just letting
on,
you know
move
he's
on.
hitting 455 with 3 home
In
runs
nine
and 9
games,
RBIs.
come to me in 82 halfway
He's
through. Let's see who's better.
already got a third of his
All
2024
right,
RBI total. All right. And he's got
right
an
now.
elite 1.447 OPS and elite
Oh
center
my
field
god, yeah,
defense.
it's oh my
Two
god,
for
Ed,
five
it's
with a game tying 2
Jesus
RBI
Christ.
today. I'm just saying
It's good
Grisham
stats.
might finally be showing who he is. Only 28, just entering his prime
How,
years.
how about
Just saying.
this? 82 games. If Grisham has better stats in the primary, KPIs, you want to whatever you want to
How dare
define them
you say
as.
KPIs?
KPI, I got work
Don't
tomorrow.
you bring that
But
nonsense in here.
okay, fine. If you okay, 82 games. If Grisham has better stats than Juan Soto, I will shave. Okay, this is risky, but I will
The fact
shave.
that you're not even confident in this is concerning.
All right. I'll shave my head to a one, to a half. Meaning I'm basically bald, but there's still hair there. And Ed, you know how much I cherish my hair.
He does. He's not one hair out of place and nothing over a centimeter long on one side. And the other, I don't know what your measurements are there, but I do know that you keep it very
One and a half.
particularly well groomed. Oh, okay, very good, very good. So, no, I don't actually believe any of that, but it is nice to see Grisham having a real shot right now, especially given the fact that he is used to playing every day. I don't think he's a perfect player, don't get me wrong, but elite defense, especially to spell any of the other guys and the flexibility in the outfield, all that's great. But we can come back, and I just wanted to highlight those, again, changes that I'm seeing. And while there's hot starts, you're just seeing some peripheral numbers that can bring them back down. And I want to see them again hitting the ball line to line. You're seeing more of that with Goldschmidt, who I think is actually letting the ball come to him more as he's become a leadoff hitter for this team. He's got the reverse splits, is hitting lefties, or sorry, righties very well, hits lefties very well. So, or righties better than lefties, doesn't matter. Point is, he's hitting more line drives than he has in a while. And is really looking to pull the or drive the ball to each field and not really looking to hit home run after home run. He's like really taken on the assignment of the leadoff hitter where he's letting the pitchers do the work, let your velocity hit my bat. I'm just going to make sure the bat's where it needs to be so I can get the hit I need to get, move the runners over. And again, just the approach thing that I'm liking seeing out of that. So good for him. Lowest ground ball percentage of his career so far, highest line drive percentage. It's just nice to see. So we're just seeing some shifts in these players who are being asked to play out of position or in different places than they have in some time, or taking on new roles and mentalities, either in a leadoff spot, in a cleanup spot, wherever it might be, as we're seeing this Yankees offense take shape and kill it to the tune of a 905, or sorry, 950 OPS to start off the season, 285 team average, and 365 on base. We are killing the game on that side of the ball. There's no question about that. However, the
Mm.
converse side, as we see the Mets leading the
Beautiful
major
sight, I
leagues
might
with a
add.
1.91 ERA, the Yankees, unfortunately, are all the way down in 18th place behind the lowly Atlanta Braves and just above the Los Angeles Angels with a 4.37 team ERA. Why is that? What's happening? All right.
No
Because the,
depth.
I don't believe it's the depth. I believe it's
The
an
whole
issue
bottom. The whole bottom
of
is
the
horrible. It's out
rotation.
of Frieden Rhode on. Yeah, it's been awful.
Well, I think that's what you look at when you see numbers, right? You see Stroman, who pitches 3 innings and then into the fourth has a bit of a struggle, right? You see
Yeah.
Will Warren, who had a really nice start, who didn't get much of a reward for it. Only gave up 2 runs in 5 innings against those Diamondbacks, walked four, but struck out four. So again, he's a young guy. Again, you're right, not a ton of depth in that respect. However, they're fighting, they're working hard, and they're pitching admirably. It's not perfect, but it's also early, right? You got Carrasco is coming back, had a really nice start in his first and only start for the Yankees so far. But um, again, I know we're not complete in the rotation side of things. Freed didn't have a great start, made a lot of errors, but again, that doesn't really affect the ERA. You're seeing a lot of this ERA inflation also coming from the bullpen right now, which is
Mm.
disturbing. We're not seeing the strikeout rates where they should be. We're actually seeing higher walk rates than we've seen in a long time. Um, they're 27th in walks per nine right now. In 2024, they were 22nd, which was also not great, but 13th in 2023. So, in the hopes of seeking more strikeouts, as we've talked about with that bullpen depth, adding Fernando Cruz, getting some guys, Hedrick, a lot of these dudes who can blow gas by a little bit more, you're also running the risk of walking guys, right? A lot of these dudes who have high strikeout numbers do have a little bit higher of a walk rate. And maybe it's just that they're wild early on and we have to get them back into shape and it's, eventually they'll work out the kinks and have a little bit more of that control because
But
historically a lot of these guys are not that erratic. But the walk numbers are leading to late inning situations where we're giving up big hits in big moments that are really inflating what we're doing from the 8 other innings, 7 other innings. So I feel like these are not anomalies. They're not perfect by any means, but I believe they are things that will work out because it just has to work itself out. And if they don't, then they're not doing their jobs properly from the front office perspective. But it really does feel like I said, Mark Leiter has been lights out most of the time, gives up that grand slam that just snuck over the wall. It happens. Things happen. Um, and again, I'm spinning my wheels here in a little bit by saying that Ryan Yarbrough, another guy, had, some really good appearances, but then gave up a ton of runs in one outing, and it just inflates everything. We have
that's
two
fair.
bad games in this run. Really, we only had 2 bad games ultimately in this whole run, and it makes us look like we haven't been able to get anybody out. But the reality is, for every 7 ERA of Marcus Stroman, you've got a 0 ERA from Yandris Gomez or like again Rodon, Fried. The starters are definitely not going as long as they should. But this is another conversation I had earlier today, where the Yankee bullpen usage is becoming a little bit like stocks, right? We're looking at it like get the most out of these pieces while you can, sell high, then bring up another guy when you can from the depth that you might trade away at some point anyway in the minor leagues, bring him back up, build him up, find something that nobody else has found because that's the way Matt Blake has worked in recent years or Jeremy Hefner for you guys.
Yep.
Finding and identifying those little bits, even shit. Adam Ottavino came in for two really good appearances. Not a great fit, walked too many, but hey, still had some nice appearances, and then we just DFA'd him. So, um, but on the bullpen side of things, and stick with me, fans, I'm getting a little overheated in here talking all this much, but what I'm seeing is I don't think the Yankees look at their bullpen and value many of their pieces, if that makes sense. I think they do for the time. And then they say, all right, we're going to get and squeeze as much out of these guys as we can. We're going to find something. And then when they start to wither a little bit, right? We're not there yet. We're going to see who's doing well at AAA, promote them. Nobody's got video on this guy. Nobody has any metrics on this guy. Nobody has video. You have minor leagues and that's it. So you're going to rely on that data rather than actual experience. And we all know without experience against a lot of pitchers, you're not necessarily going to have the most success. So Yankees utilizing kind of a stock market way of wheeling and dealing from the bullpen side, not a lot of faces. You got 2 or 3 guys who are big names. Outside of that, I think their names faceless, nameless, and you can keep guys guessing from what comes out of that spot moving forward. But that
Yeah.
doesn't address the rotation issues. The rotation is going to get better. We got Clark Schmidt coming back on April 15th, walks way fewer batters. Stroman's going to eventually be relegated to a 3 inning role, my guess is, or become an opener because that's how he's most effective. And again, these are all just things that will shake out as we see who's fitting the roles best. As we talked about your roster and your lineup, it's just going to take that little bit of time to see what the real story is shaping up and what's keeping these guys from reaching their truest potential.
Yeah, and I did want to add, this guy's not letting me get a word in over here.
Oh my
But
God, I know. I just, it's so sweaty. I don't know what they're doing. They're kicking up the heat up in these New York City apartments right now.
you're all
Insane.
jacked up because your pitching's ass. But hold up, before
Well, this is what
so
happens. You talk
no,
about the
before you
Mets
start
so
rattling
long, I
off
try
my
to, get my
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
out.
That's fair. That's fair. I did go on and on, but that's also because we're having a great conversation.
There you
But
go.
I
I
will
love it.
say Clark Schmidt coming back is huge for you guys. That's the one that I did want to add to when I was going to touch on your rotations. I think your bullpen's gonna be fine, to be honest. I think there are some names in there that whether some casual baseball fans don't know them, they are up and coming and they are definitely strength at a plus arms in terms of bullpen strength, like a Fernando Cruz, for example.
Right.
Um,
Who's had a really rough go with home runs so far, but striking out 17 per nine. So, right?
he'll
It's
be
just a
fine.
kink that'll work out.
Yeah, but again, Will Warren, he's not a number 3 in any rotation. Cookie Carrasco, in my opinion, is a long reliever at best, and to pitch in a smaller dimension park like Yankee Stadium, it's not a great fit. And I do want to say this real quick: Stroman, I hated him as a Met. I didn't like the way he presents himself, the way this facade that he puts on as this big leader and self-improvement advocate, but he's kind of a baby at the end of the day. He is getting my major ass award
Oh
of the
my
week.
God, dude. What are you talking about? Why? Why?
He deserves it. What do you mean? Why?
Because major
Pitching
ass
pitching
because
to
he's
a
got like a
7 ERA. This guy's won 5 innings.
listen. All right, he had two rough innings in the full go, and again, Stroman is a guy who
But that
does
will
a
dictate
lot
your
with his.
start.
No, listen, of course, but listen, we're also 6-3. So as much as it dictated our start, we won the games that he started. Right?
Mm.
It's not like we're losing because of him. And Cookie
But that's not
Carrasco,
his, that's not his doing though. That's your lineup
no,
support
but
to
what
help
we
that.
need is people to keep us in the game. And that's what the Yankees need to do right now. They're not worried about being, at this juncture, it's just about having a better run differential, which I think we're at plus 39 or something like that. An absurd number for this rate in the season. I believe you guys are plus 11, right? So it's
That's
not
fine.
like we're not doing enough to, keep runs, but we also have games where we're scoring 10 and then we're scoring one, which is kind of like the Yankees of 2022, 2023, which you don't necessarily want to see. You want to see a little bit more consistency. I want to see 5 to 6 runs a game, not 10 runs here and then 2 runs the next night, right? Crazy explosions and then falling apart. You want to see like a relative steady pace in that respect. But Cookie Carrasco,
Yeah,
man, 5 1/3, only 3 runs against that Diamondbacks lineup and 5 strikeouts. He
you'll
didn't look
take it.
that bad, and I think that we need a guy who's going to keep the ball on the ground because we're giving up more fly balls than we have in a long time.
Yeah,
And
but 4 innings, 3 runs is just not going to cut it for a guy like Stroman, though. 4 innings, 3 runs. If you see any, and this is something I did want to address. Sorry to cut you off, but it's
yeah, yeah,
grinds on
no.
gears as a fellow pitcher. Anytime you see 4 innings in a stat line, it's kind of
Mm.
just a moot point. Like I feel like it's not a successful start, even if you've given up maybe just one earned, because you're not stretching yourself out. You're not allowing the bullpen to remain rested. You have to probably throw 3 or potentially 4 arms out there to finish off a game. And I
Right,
don't know.
which is what we're
Anytime
seeing
yeah,
now. Yeah.
exactly.
And it's absolutely taxing us, but I think that's where the Yankees, and I guess that's where my crazy, diatribe about stock markets um, really comes into play here because I think the Yankees look at this on at the holistic level, kind of like the Rays did for a long time. It's a very analytic driven view, but get me enough that I can put in 3 pitchers to finish this game, 4 pitchers to finish this game.
Mm.
I think they are okay with treading water and get me 4 innings, right? And this is the thing about Stroman. He's going to give up runs in that time. He hasn't had a hot start like he did last year, but he's going to have starts where he gives up 4 in 5 innings, 3 in 3 innings. He's going to have those blips. And I think ultimately, like I said, he plays better as a 3 inning long relief middle flexi guy. And I know he wants to be a starter, but give him that chance and see where we go from here. But he does also have stretches where he goes on runs, 5 to 6 innings and gives up 2 to 3 runs, and you can get a month of that out of him. If we can get that out of him for a month at any point in the, starting in the next start or two, he's going to be a very, very valuable piece for this team as it's currently constructed. It's tread water until we get some of our backups. Clark Schmidt coming back will be big. I think Will Warren might need more seasoning. It would be nice to see him be able to work out of these jams a little better and stop walking as many people. And again, I said it before, the walks are up. The walks are up. We need to keep the ball down on the ground. We are 1-to-1 in fly ball and ground ball ratio. That's not great. You want to see more ground balls than fly balls, and you want to see way fewer walks. Stop making too much damage for yourself. And it's not the defense. I said the defense was going to improve. It has. Those 5 errors in that one game is the only errors the team has made all season long, which I
You
told
know
you was an
that.
anomaly and a fluke, and here we go.
Sorry, I was just going to add too. That's actually one thing I didn't note. The Mets defense also is improving, so it's great to see as the season's getting more traction and you're getting more reps. I think we're just starting to see some more consistency and normalcy coming from both sides, of the
Reps and
ball.
traction are
Um,
perfect terms that I could not find for the last 20 minutes. So thank you. That's what the Yankees
that's why you
need,
got to let
and
me
the
chime
bullpen
in,
will
Ed.
figure it out. I know, I know. I was just trying to make it all happen. I was getting these thoughts out. They're convoluted and complicated, but they will become simpler
Our
as we move on.
So before we move on to segment three, and sorry, not to, I don't want to cut off the Yankee talk, but I did want to ask you
No,
a
all good.
question. But um, is it time to worry, or is it baseball just being baseball? The Yankees just coming back to earth in the bats, and your rotation will figure itself out, or are you a little worried? Do you think
Oh
you guys
God,
could
you
compete? I'm just
really
no,
just wanted to
just a
hold on to this.
I did, but general quick question. One liner. Hit me with a quick one liner on just like your feeling behind the team and like if the offense is just 5-6 runs a game, which is obviously really damn strong. Do you see yourself winning the division, let alone making a deep playoff run with the same rotation you got now without Cole?
Yeah, I mean, it won't be this rotation. We'll have Heel back in June, and we'll
That's
have
fair.
Schmidt back
Yeah.
next. So we still have a lot coming back to us, which I think a lot of people are forgetting. And it's hoping that they're going to return to form as they were, Heel last year, and then Schmidt even the year before, as he dealt with some injury last year as well. So yeah, I'm not that worried. As I said, I think the pitching ultimately winds up being very good and keeps us in games, which is I think all the Yankees really care about these days. As much as they'd like to have an elite rotation and everybody be at their best always, as long as they keep them in games and our offense has a chance, which it always does. Even today, down 4-1 for most of the game, we came back and tied it. We lost on the
Mm.
man for man rule, but hey, Tommy Pham, we'll give it to you. Big fan of Tommy Pham.
Me
Keep it
too.
up, baby. So what are you going to do? I'm not that worried. I think the Yankees are just going to have a lot more to experiment with in terms of this lineup, and I just want to see them continue to do what they've been doing, keeping the ball in play, keeping the line moving. Don't go for the home run or strikeout, outside of a few guys who seem to be doing that right now. And again, just try to keep within yourself and keep the pressure on the defense, and the pitching will again figure itself out.
You know what, Ed? That's a great answer. Well said. And I think that's a good segue, if you don't mind, into our segment three. Kind of,
Please
you
get
know,
the spotlight off me.
our yeah, I know you love it. We're gonna go back to the beginning. I know we've been chatting for a while now, so we're gonna keep this brief. But we are revisiting our opening series prediction. I know we originally, had an episode. I think it was 2 or 3 ago, where Ed, if you remember, we touched on the first three opening series and where we think we'll net out. So what I'm thinking, we go one for one, quick. We don't even give each other feedback. We just say our piece on how our predictions shook out after the first three series of the season, and stack them up against what actually happened. One or two early overreactions, we'll just say it, no reactions from each other. And then lastly are our teams who we thought they were before the season started, seeing where we currently are now, and then
They
we'll
are who
wrap it
we
up.
thought they were.
You're not who I thought you were. What's that from?
No,
I
I
don't
think it
even
was.
know.
I think it's Dennis Green. It was like an ESPN. It's a clip they use a lot on NFL highlights. Dennis Green, RIP, former
uh
head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and they
I'm way
lost. And he's
off.
up there, and he's like, "They are who we thought they were." And somebody just asking him like, "Who did you play? Are they as good as you thought they were?" And he's just like pissed off. Like, what a question to ask me. Anyway,
Yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that. Maybe it's some reality show that Natalia watches. Like, you're not who I thought you were. Like some weird relationship
oh,
shit.
who do you think you are? I
Yeah,
am.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah, that's the bowling dude. That
Yeah.
dude's sick. Yeah.
The who? All right. I don't even know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
We're here for
the bo-
baseball. Get back to it.
that went away from my head. Whoop. Okay, here we go. So Ed, first part of segment three. How do our predictions again after the first three series stack up against what is happening? I will say my piece and I'll pass you the mic. So I'm pleased again when looking back at my prediction because Ed, I hit the nail on the head. Predict with the record, mind you. I'll get into the other part. Predicted the record at 6-3. We started the season 6-3 after the sweep today of the Blue Jays. I did miss on kind of how we got it done. Um, we lost the series, to the Astros, of course, only taking one in Houston. While the pitching held up, as we know, the bats were sleeping, which I did predict would not be the case. So that's on me. Again, losing 2 out of 3 there. The Marlins, however, the series was 2-3, which is right in line with my early prediction. We even did start to see the bats wake up a bit, scoring 10 runs in game one. Um, Kind of in a get right series. So I think I was pretty close on that one. And Alcantara, he owned us, which I thought he would. But either way, the Blue Jays, I said we would hit them a bit and take them 2 out of 3. And actually, we sweep them, which is great, but we didn't hit them. It was really due to strong pitching. And the starting pitching and the bullpen just kind of both coming together, and of course that timely hitting like the 2024 match I touched on previously, and that's kind of where we're at. But I think for an early small sample size micro prediction, I did pretty damn good. Ed, where were you?
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled to find out, like I said, that you guys won this game. I really thought the Blue Jays, who I never really have very high hopes for in the first place, were going to maybe squeak one out there in the end. But no, man, the Blue Jays have a weirdly sneaky rotation that, if all goes well, can be great, right? We know Manoa's good. We know Bassett's really good. Kevin Gausman was
Yeah,
a Cy Young, right, ace for a long time. Scherzer, if he can return to form. But hey, they kept you down, but it doesn't mean that their offense did anything. And what's funny actually is their offense is actually leading in many categories too, but is hitting no home runs. They only have 5 on
no
the
home
season.
runs. That and the 1 through 3 in that rotation. I mean, excuse me, in that lineup where they need to hit home runs, they're not, and they're going to need that to wake up. But Ed, I thought we were doing this with no back and forth fodder here.
Oh, God damn it.
I
Keep losing.
respect it. No, listen, I respect it and I appreciate it. But I just want us to go one for one, hit it.
All right, sounds good. So predictions went well. I told you I went 5-4 conservatively, but I really wanted to go 6-3. You can listen back. We'll find it as we talked about.
Yeah, yeah,
But really happy with the way they went. I loved seeing them sweep the Brewers. Obviously, that gives you a lot of confidence. Even though I don't think Milwaukee's at their best right now, you don't want to see them lose the way they did to Arizona or lose that series at all. Felt like that was theirs, well within their grasp. Again, just let that get away from us, and Eugenio and the fans ruined that for us. So, and then Series 3, Pittsburgh, you thought you did what you thought you had to do with them, right? Scored back to back 10-run games. You really can't feel bad about that. Didn't love the way that they kind of went flat today and didn't back up their guy, Will Warren, who I think might be a victim of poor run support his whole career, but we'll see how that goes. Just some things I'm noticing as we go. But yeah, no, feeling good. Think that if they keep up with this and just again work out some of the kinks, iron some things out, which is how it goes. It's a game of adjustments, and they will adjust. I think they're going to be just as good as we thought they were going to be. And wait, did I
yeah.
say one thing I want to say is I did say Anthony Volpe needed to have a great first week, and he certainly has.
All right. So you know what, Ed? I think you got close, and I got pretty close. So I think we're pretty even. I mean, we can't not be even. We're both 6-3. I think, again, we're pretty close here. So again, not to give you
I
any
don't know. Do I
feedback.
lose? I technically lose since I said 5-4. So I'll give it to you. But I was feeling real confident that I was going to come into this gloating pretty much the whole
Well,
episode.
but it's a bet. I guess you do technically lose in that sense, but I guess I didn't even look at it that way because you won more games than you predicted, so it's like a positive thing. But
Right. I know.
I
How do we
yeah.
qualify this? Well, we'll need the
Well,
fans.
this one, yeah. Luckily, we didn't have a punishment for this one, so
So
um,
that said, what do you think?
yeah.
Is there anything that you might be overreacting to early
Oh
on?
yeah. Oh yeah. I got two. One good, one bad.
All right.
Jose Siri and Tyrone Taylor platoon in center field. It's not working. We need to get a reliable center fielder. I'm done with it already. Or give a young prospect in Jet Williams a raw shot, at which I honestly would love to see.
Hmm.
I don't know. Siri, again, I told you his stats not doing much. Tyrone Taylor also not doing much.
Hmm.
Not really, Siri's getting the lion's share of playing time. I don't know. I'm being overreactive, of course, but that's the fun of it. And the positive reaction is the bullpen. We'll stay strong like this all season long, and we will continue to be top end, and we'll be top three by the end of the season in the MLB.
Hey, top three.
And
Oh,
we're number
shit.
one right now. I'm regressing a bit, so I think that's
Oh,
fair.
man. You think you're going to hold this that long? That's impressive.
I
All right. I
like I
like
like
it.
the names in there, and I like the sneaky guys like Kranick and Brazaban. I mean, of course, all this is with an asterisk pending injury. That's always the big thing there.
Also true.
So,
Very, very true. So,
what
yeah,
about
no, those are pretty good.
thanks, Ed? Do you have any early overreactions on your end?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the pitching, right? We want to be down on it. I think everybody wants to be down on it because, of course, they don't have. I mean, hell, they're walking too many, and as I said, too many fly balls and just too many extended innings. I think that's what I noticed as well. As I think, 20th or so in uh, batters faced or pitches
Mm,
thrown, something like that. So we're not putting guys away like we need to, and that was really kind of the big deal of getting more strikeout pitchers in the bullpen and just generally speaking. Uh, we're letting guys extend at bats, extending innings, more pressure on the defense, more pressure on the pitcher, obviously, and gets into your bullpen earlier than you plan. And I just hope that we can find ways to put guys away. I don't know if it's an in between the ears thing right now or if guys just aren't fully ramped up, but clearly you guys are. And I would like to see the Yankees just put the finishing touches on their pitching staff the way that I know they can.
mm.
Um, and then other early overreaction. I don't know if there's too many. I mean, like I said, maybe it's Grisham being better than Soto if you want to put one down.
I mean, that's definitely a definition of overreaction. So that's a good one.
But I would really be impressed. I want to see how this shakes out in terms of Grisham's just continue. If Grisham gets more playing time, can he be the number one or the first round pick that people thought he was going to be? He's a first round pick, but like deliver on that ability. And
Yeah.
he could just be a nice throw in. And if it becomes, hey, we lost Juan Soto, but this guy is a nice sort of consolation prize. I've always liked Grisham from afar. He's just got that old school mentality. But yeah, total overreaction. He's not hitting 455 for the season, and I don't expect him to maintain, yeah, setting the
I
world on
mean,
fire this way.
And Ed, those are good ones. I was gonna say if he does hit for 55 or whatever the hell it is, then we'll be comparing him to Tony Gwynn and not Juan Soto. So,
Hey, I like it.
um,
Trent Gwynn sounds got a nice name to it. Gwynsham?
Trent Gwynn, Gwyncham.
Trent Gwynsham. I like it.
um, but yeah, I think those are great overreactions. I think is a fun thing to do here when it comes to baseball because again, it's just such a long haul and such a long season that sometimes those overreactions come to fruition. And like again, me overreacting about Siri and Tyrone, sure, maybe it's valid, and maybe I think one of them is more suited to be on the roster in terms of a late inning defensive substitution, and we have more of a stud in center. Like a give me like a Lars Nootbaar, someone from the Cardinals, like that'd be sick. But again,
Newt.
overreaction nonetheless. And Ed, are these teams who we thought they were before the season started? Simply put, on my end, and I'll quickly pass you the torch. No, they're not at, in terms. Oh, hear me out. They're not in terms.
No.
Yeah, very simply put, obviously, but in terms of where the production's coming from,
Right.
I did think the lineup would carry us with decent starting pitching again. But it's been that pitching that hasn't been decent. It's been spectacular, and that's carried this team early on. And to be honest, I'm super excited to see where this goes, especially when Manaya and Montas get back in the mix. And yes, I thought we would be good and see a 6-3 start, obviously per my prediction, and that's what we've done here. But now it's time to keep this 4-game win streak alive against moving forward into our next schedule set of opponents heading into this upcoming week. We have the Marlins at home to finish off this first homestand of the season. They're regressing a bit, coming back to the mean, like we like to say, and they're not going to be the winners of the NL East. They probably still will lose 90 plus, maybe 100 games. So
Mm.
obviously we could keep that win streak alive against them. Then we head over to the beautiful Sacramento Stadium, where the A's now reside for the time being, and again, they're 4-6 to start the year. Pretty pedestrian. They have a good lineup, but the pitching is always a question mark outside of Mason Miller in that bullpen, of course. So yeah, I think a lot of get right series and games coming up, and then the Twins starting off slow, 3-6. We know they always figure it out a little bit. Stuck in the playoffs, great regular season champions, but still, I don't see why we can't beat all three of these teams and win all three of these series. So I don't think right now, Ed, I could say that we're gonna win, 11 in a row, but if you're gonna do it, this is the stretch. So for you, are the Yankees who you thought
Uh,
they would be before the season started?
Well, just to give you a little pushback there, you're going to face some teams that have also had some really good pitching. So I'm just going to, damper your feelings on that. You're going to run into Luis
That's fair.
Severino, probably, former Met who knows how to handle you guys a little bit. You got Pablo Lopez, who's a Cy Young favorite, and Joe Ryan. Minnesota's got great pitching. So you're going to have
I
to
know.
figure out their pitching just the same, is all I'm
But
trying
the
to say.
beautiful thing, and I that's a good point you make, but the beautiful thing about that is again, this lineup still hasn't clicked in all cylinders and broke out yet. So
True.
they're poised and kind of ready, I think, for that.
True.
So
And we saw the fun
it's a
the
little
Cubs
scary.
had at Sutter Health Park, where the A's play in Sacramento. So, hey, at a AAA stadium is maybe where you need to wake your bats up.
Yeah, Soto, I'm calling it now. 3 home runs in the series. All right, passing either way.
All in one game. All right. So,
Yeah.
no, it's a good little rundown there. And it's interesting. We are running into the Detroit Tigers coming up next. And no, yes, are we the team I thought we were? Kind of. They're exactly what I wanted them to be offensively so far, save the strikeouts. And like I said, I like to see a little bit more dynamic small ball stuff, but they are who I thought they would be offensively. Maybe not this good, so they're better than I expected with the 950 OPS, as we talked about. 25 home runs leading the league, even past the Dodgers, who have 22 and have three more games played. So we're having a historic start offensively, but the pitching's kind of pedestrian, but also better than it's looked, as I talked about. So they're kind of what I thought they would be, I guess. It's not exact, but kind of, I'll say, right? A little bit of a cop out there. But
Hmm.
looking forward, as we've seen some of our pitching needing to round into shape and into form, might not be the best time for us because we're going into Detroit where the start times have already been moved up from 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock starts to 3 p.m. and 1 p.m.
That's nice
starts.
day baseball, though.
Much better. Frigid temperatures, really cold. You're just hoping that the pitchers are going to be able to feel their hands, right? We'll be allowed to blow into the hand to warm it up a little bit, get a little bit of that moisture tack built up on the ball a little bit. So hopefully gives us an advantage. However, we're playing Detroit, who I've told you and we talked about is going to be a pesky team. They were already last year. They've only added more pieces this
They're
season.
5-4.
Yep, 5-4, but they're also third in the majors with an 809 team OPS. So they're
Hmm.
doing some work. A 269 collective batting average when the rest of the league is a collective, I think, 235. So they're up there with the Yankees and Cardinals as the best offensive teams to start the season. Not a ton of home runs, only 11, but they're still driving in runs at a really nice clip. Clearly preventing them decently with Tarek Skubal and that other cast of characters, or Jack Flaherty, and so on and so forth. So it might not be as easy a series as we would hope it would be, especially going in and where you want to see the pitching really round into form. We're just hoping that Tigers at home, who are already off to a hot start, are not going to continue to make our bullpen and other numbers look worse than they actually are.
Mm. That's a good point, Ed. I was gonna say guys that are sneaky X factors in that series are well, one guy is Spencer Torkelson, a guy who obviously we know has
Torgo,
a
right?
talent and the ability to be a star in this league, and he's shown flashes of it. But I think
Mm-hmm.
right now he's playing some consistent baseball, and Kerry Carpenter's also turning into a budding superstar over there.
That
So,
Carpenter dude is
dude, he's
crazy.
nasty. I did just trade him in the show for some reason, but I got Lars Nootbaar back, and I'm a fan of his, so
There
worked
you
out.
go. See, that's what you do. You sell too low just to get your guy Newt. But also,
Newt.
Lars Nootbaar is all over Japan, by the way. Like, might
Oh
be
yeah,
the biggest white celebrity, or obviously he's half Japanese, but like non-Japanese celebrity. Excuse my terminology. But all over the place, like glasses ads, everything. And we know how he played for Team Japan, but it's just funny. I never thought they would take to him the way that they took to, like, I'm not kidding, second
he's a
after
likable
Shohei.
guy.
So, but like more than like any other dude. Yamamoto, I didn't see. I saw Newt Bar everywhere. So, hey, pretty cool for him.
Well, it's also a fun name to say, Lars Nootbaar. So,
Newt. You know, and it
um,
always sounds like a boo too. But yeah, they're a
yeah,
fun team. Detroit's always going to give you a hard time. I don't think Glaber's going to be there, which is unfortunate because I believe he's on the IL. I could be wrong. And they've just moved Javi Baez to center field. So a lot of things
that's
changing
crazy.
there. Trey Sweeney, as I said, really proving to be a really good player for them. Former Yankee prospect hitting 276. They're just that pesky line to line team. Riley Green is a beast. Yeah, they're just going to be tough, man. So I hope
And
that the Yankees can find it here with their pitching, but I don't have a ton of confidence. We might have to outslug them.
well, Ed, you know what upside down world that we live in? I didn't realize. I mean, small sample size, but Baez. Now you mentioned his name, hitting 333, 6 for 18
Hey,
start.
there you go.
So
Maybe you just
I'm
needed to leave the infield.
maybe he did, but Ed, I did want to say, I know we talked a bunch here, so I don't think we could honestly say, and I feel like you might agree with me here, but we can't say who's poised to have a better season right now, the Mets or the Yankees, because again,
Oh, we
both of
can.
us.
You want me to
No,
tell
hold
you?
up. No, not yet. Both of us have areas of improvement, areas that are performing better than expected, and both of us have areas that, again, we really need to work on and fix, especially now. Work those kinks out early in the season to be kind of well-oiled machines into the mid back half of the year. And we're both off to a strong 6-3 start. New York, are you not entertained?
Hey, 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 and it just goes to show, man, you can do it in different ways. We're doing it the polar opposite way, same results. But wouldn't that be a beautiful World Series?
And you know what? Maybe we'll give you a little bit of our pitching. You give us a little bit of those bats, and it'll be a little brotherly love. I mean, actually, fuck Philly, but you know,
Speaking of Philly, Luzardo is crazy. We might have to trade for that dude. But yeah,
I wish they got Lizardo. I'm pissed
right.
about that one.
You guys can
Mm.
hold on to all your pitchers, though. Canning can stay with you guys. Have
Yeah, no
fun
one
with
needs
that.
him. All right, you know what? We are Ed, and I will say, everyone, that'll do it for episode 6 of the Big Apple Battle. Ed, I know we're going to come at this thing again midweek, guys. We're going to start churning out 2 episodes a week, Sunday night recap. Look to post them on Mondays so you guys can get a nice little kind of refresher on where things stand and how it netted out over the previous series. And then midweek, look ahead to the weekend and obviously how that current week is trending. I think it's the best way for us to stay on top of things. Obviously, working with 2 different sports teams here. So work with us. We're making it happen. So we hope you enjoy the show. And Ed, now the real season grind begins. We are here to take care of you all every step of the way. Grab your City Field pastrami, grab your Yankee Stadium tiramisu bucket, and come along for the ride, Ed.
Ain't that the truth? And, just to rub it in a little bit more, you mentioned Candelita earlier. Those San Diego Padres with your man,
Mm.
Jose Iglesias, are 8-2 as
And he
we
looks
speak.
good.
Oh my God, it's going to be a hell of a year, and we got a
You had to
lot of
put that
fun
in
on
there.
tap. Oh, I did. I just felt
Well, I
like it
will
wrapped
say,
things
all
up.
right, so I'll throw one in there too. Well, one, as always,
Shit.
LGM, Atlanta Braves are the worst team in baseball, 1-8. Love that.
Whatever makes you feel better, that's great. Yeah, our division is just getting better as the days go on. But who had that on their bingo cards, eh?
Not my
Braves
grandma.
0-7, 1-8. What's the deal now?
Oh, and I,
Oh,
I love doing this with you, man. And we'll be back at it. We'll be back at it in a few days, but hopefully the Mets keep this winning streak going against the Marlins when we next chat.
Yeah, I'm thinking that that's not going to happen just because I need to. And Yanks are going to sweep out in Motown. My lips, God's ears. Yankee fans, let's have a good year.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. LGM, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Get wrecked.
This ball is crushed.